the thing about WPO is that it's got to be a safe space. And so when you talk about inclusivity, that's something that's extremely important to me. And we work really hard with our chapter chairs on making sure that at the meeting, no matter who you are, that you feel like you belong and that it feels like these are your peers and you can talk about anything that's going on and you feel comfortable doing that, because that's the most important thing, is being able to be vulnerable so that you can get the kind of input and feedback from others that will really help you scale and take your business to the next level.
Welcome to the Women on the Move podcast. I'm your host, Sam Saperstein. This season, we're delving into how strong communities create opportunities, foster belonging, and empower leaders to make a lasting impact. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Camille Burns, the CEO of the Women Presidents Organization. Camille is a leader in women's entrepreneurship, driving WPO's mission to elevate women entrepreneurs globally. With 25 years of experience, she has expanded the organization's international reach and fostered a unique peer learning environment. In this episode, Camille shares insights on redefining leadership and empowering women to lead multi-million-dollar businesses. Join us to explore her inspiring journey and impact on women leaders. Camille, thank you so much for joining us on the Women on the Move podcast. It is great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So I am so excited to see you not that long after your annual conference, your entrepreneurship conference. So I might want to start talking about that first off the bat. It was fantastic. Congratulations to you and the team. And our bank, JPMorganChase, is so thrilled to be a partner of WPO, Women Presidents Organization. And I had never seen that conference done. I had not attended it to date. It was so vibrant, so interesting, so valuable. The women I met there, the founders, the owners, the CEOs, were amazing. I mean, these are women who created businesses in every sector, who have grown them from nothing to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It is amazing. You really built a great organization. So thank you. I can't wait to talk about this with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was so happy to have you there finally.
It was great. I mean, as we were talking before here, how long did it take you to really come down and really get back to earth from having such a great conference?
A few days, but there's so much energy, and it was so great right now to bring so many women business owners together that, I leave feeling really inspired and excited.
And how many actually came?
About 650.
650. I mean, that is enormous for any conference of that size, but also to see so many women who built such great things all together. It was really fabulous. So I know we'll get into more of that. So you have been at the WPO for 20 years.
More than that, almost 25 actually.
25. Okay. So you have spent basically your whole career there, coming right out of school and taking your first job there. Is that where you thought you'd be 25 years in?
No, not at all. I took the job because I liked the idea of women in leadership positions. I had zero interest in business at the time. I just thought it was pretty cool, the idea of women CEOs. And I was going to do it for a year or two like anyone, when they're young and out of school. And the organization was really small. And so I had this opportunity to join a small organization, New York City based, and grow the organization, but also grow with it myself and help build the organization into a global community.
I mean, I bet. So you were just out of school, living in New York, seeing this organization grow. Tell us about maybe the pivotal moments, like big leaps you took, both you personally in your career and then in the organization, that marked like different eras for you.
Sure. Interesting question. First of all, when I came into the organization, it was shortly before 9/11. So 9/11 was a really pivotal moment for me, just in watching women business owners support each other.
Yeah.
So here's a period where a lot of businesses, especially in New York City, were significantly impacted. Some were in buildings or lived in the area. And I was really moved by how the women stepped up to support each other. It was a time when people were not working virtually, right? So other members were opening up their office space to let members bring their whole teams in and work from their space and just helping them keep their businesses alive. And that was a really impactful moment for me personally in watching women support other women and help each other navigate something that was, really challenging and difficult. And from there, I think every time we've gone through something challenging, that's when what I do really feels really impactful. Whether it was 2008
Yeah,
or more
financial
recently with
crisis.
the pandemic,
Yes.
just seeing how the women business owners want to help keep each other alive, keep each other in business, help navigate, think about what are opportunities that you might not be seeing when you're going through something really difficult. And so I would say in many ways it's more of the going through the challenges as a community and
Mhm.
seeing the community come together that's been really impactful and really pivotal for me and I think for the organization.
So certainly the pandemic was one such moment in time for all businesses. And I recall at the conference, some of the 50 fastest growing business owners really talking about how vital it was to stay alive, post pandemic. And one business in particular with a travel agency of all businesses, nobody was traveling. I mean, that business, she really said, went to almost nothing and yet has really come roaring back. This is so incredible that you can see a business like that really come back from the ashes, a multi-generational
Mhm.
business too. When you think about that time and what your members really needed from you in the pandemic, what was that? And how did you all come together in a crisis to meet that moment?
What they needed was each other.
Mm,
And what I found was when it's businesses like travel industry or any industry that was significantly impacted, what I found so moving was how other women who may not have been impacted in the same way
mm,
were so willing to sit down and navigate what was going on. Our meetings typically are monthly. We had groups getting together every week
wow.
just to help support each other and make introductions. Oh, you need to talk to, I mean, in some cases it was financing, right? So
Yeah.
building those relationships, having partners like JPMorganChase and other partners that we had that can help support the business owners and help keep them alive in some ways was extremely crucial as
Mm,
well. But just women sharing resources and helping each other think outside the box
yeah.
because as you know, anytime you have to make a change in your business, it's really important to get out of what's going on and be able to, look at it from up here
Yeah.
and make the kind of changes that you need to
And
make
do
to.
things you might never have done
Yeah,
before. That
exactly,
was that moment in
exactly.
time. So tell us about WPO's structure in terms of how your
Mhm.
members interact. What does a membership give to you? And I think one of the parts I love the most, how do local chapters really come to be?
Yeah. So our core model is the local chapter model. So it's a small group. It's about 15 women that get together every month. There's never competitors at a table.
Mhm.
And we have a proprietary program that we use to help navigate challenges or opportunities. We have professional facilitators that we call chapter chairs
Yeah.
that run the meetings. And so in a city like New York, we've got 6 chapters. So in some places we
Amazing.
might have multiple chapters, but it's like having kind of that board of advisors of other
Mhm.
women CEOs, presidents with all sorts of different expertise and experience come together and talk about what's going on in their businesses. And also being women, we don't put aside our lives when we step into our business every
Right,
day as a
right.
CEO of a company. So other issues can come up and just helping each other think through what's going on in their businesses and in their lives. We've also got some different tiers of membership. So we've got platinum membership for women that are a bit bigger with at least 10 million in revenue, and then
Mhm.
zenith membership for women that are 50 million and above. Just
Yeah.
because those, as you know, challenges, opportunities, things are different as you grow and scale
Right.
your company.
And the most amazing thing is seeing so many women at that level and
Mhm.
growing, which is exactly what we want to see. I think about women coming together for themselves. I think many of us have a hard time breaking away from work, breaking away from family, taking that time to do self care, but usually you're putting yourself last. Do you find your members prioritize their WPO time and commitment because it's for their business? Like, do they prioritize it in a different way than they might prioritize other aspects of their life?
They do, or if they wanna get value from it, they need to,
Yeah,
if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
'Cause, for WPO to work, you have to show up to the meetings, you have to be part of the group, you have to really it's a safe space,
Mhm.
and for it to be a safe space, there has to be that level of commitment. I do think that when people have business value, any business owner, when there's a value to the business, they make it a priority. But I also think that WPO, sometimes when people first join the organization, they don't realize what a priority it's gonna end up being in their
Mm.
lives
Mhm.
because they really see that value. Some groups do a one-word check-in and check-out at the beginning and the end of every meeting, and
Yeah.
and how often that word, they can walk in and the word can be defeated or stressed, and then they can leave feeling excited or inspired. And if you get that little
Yeah.
shot of inspiration once a month, it's worth showing up to the
Oh my
meeting.
God, for sure. You could see that when you have gatherings like you just did, when chapter leaders were seeing their members and the hugs and like, yeah, I'm so excited to see you, or we're here, or there was just real camaraderie
Mhm.
at these levels and almost really a loyalty and a commitment, right, to be there for each other, which I think is fantastic. So tell me, as you were in the organization in your early years and really looking at these women businesses and also growing the organization, were there any people who were important to you in your development, any mentors or others, whether they were part of the organization or not, who really helped guide you?
There were so many. I've been really lucky throughout my career because of being part of a community of
Mm,
entrepreneurs, right? So there were so many women that took me under their wings when I was younger. And I think one thing that was really impactful for me personally was how many women believed in me before I believed in myself.
mm,
So as I got on the trajectory to become CEO, and the conversations were starting to happen around what would be the succession for the organization, yeah, I had my own insecurities, my own imposter syndrome feelings, my own, "I can't actually do this. I'm not the right person." And
mm.
having so many women that believed in me and sort of felt like I could when I didn't necessarily think that about myself, I think was huge for me just in my personal
Mm.
development and my career development.
Did you see that happening, or in retrospect, do you realize that was happening?
Probably a little bit more in retrospect,
Uh,
but at the time, I know that there were a handful of women that really saw something in me when I was very young even, and knew that I wasn't ready at the time. It wasn't like they wanted, 25-year-old Camille to take on the role, but it
yeah.
was sort of like they knew that there was something that if I stayed with the organization and I kept working, and being part of the community, that there was a lot of opportunity,
I
so.
mean, you are an investment at a certain point, right? Especially with such a long tenure, that to have someone else come in when you've been there for so long, guiding things and growing things, it would seem like who would be a better person to do that? So talk about how the connection, in these local markets gets fostered there, and how could that help businesses with their global expansion and also their global aspirations?
Sure. So within the local community, our chapter chairs are really in responsible for building that community. By having women in different industries, you get a different perspective, I think, in your business in terms of what you're able to do and where you're able to bring your business to the next level. And we've got women who have global companies, obviously, in pretty much any chapter at this
Hmm.
point. So connecting with other women business owners who are doing things that potentially you want to do or have expertise in an area that you may not, I think really helps build your capacity and your ability and your knowledge in terms of what you're able to do with your organization. And then ideally we do some regional programs. We obviously have our big event every year, and with that goal, we're trying to bring the larger community together, because
Yeah.
not only are we about women supporting businesses in terms of their WPO chapters and working together, but also we want women to buy from other women. We want women
Mm.
to want to, you're thinking about doing a strategic partnership, you're thinking about an acquisition. There might be other women business owners in the community that you need to talk to, and that could potentially be a great match for you.
It's funny you say that. I was expecting at the conference a lot of great content and the keynotes and being in just sessions with each other. I had no idea outside the conference you would have such a big array of women coming with their businesses to sell to other women. The clothing, the bags, the shoes, the jewelry. I was like, this is amazing. But aside from being a consumer and very excited to be there as a shopper, I was seeing the women build their businesses there
Mhm.
and how important that was because they were making lifelong loyal customers right there on the spot. I came in with colleagues who ran right to one of the vendors. I'm so happy to see you. And they bought something immediately. Or, you could just tell these were really important relationships and you were bringing the right customer to these women's
Mhm.
businesses for sure. And so that was amazing to me. I really hadn't expected to see that.
Oh, I love that. And women business owners are really busy too. So one of the reasons we like to do that at our event is sometimes it's one of the few times they actually shop in the year. It's you can sort of
100%.
buy a bunch of things in one trip, ship it back, and you're done.
It really helped me, and I'm not spending any more money for the rest of the year. So thank you. But no, you're right. You're right. It's a time saver too. I love that. And I also love just seeing everybody when the program was over really enjoy themselves with each other. So the line dancing and just being together in community, I think was fabulous. Um, so can you think of a time, as we were talking about the value of the membership and really women helping each other in important times, that a member helped another company to really have a breakthrough, to get into a new market, expand the business? Does anything come to mind in terms of a story you can share?
There's so many.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's so many times that members have helped each other navigate whatever's going on or help them with opportunities. One thing I would say, Sam, is that where I've seen a lot of impact for our women business owners is in their exits,
Mm,
where having other women who may have been there, done that, or have navigated and how whatever that exit looks like, because
yeah.
obviously there's a lot of different avenues, but learning from each other and being able to kind of share what, if you could do it over again, what maybe
Uh,
you would have done a little bit differently.
Yep.
And I've also heard so many times members say, particularly ones that have sold their companies, say, I would never have gotten what I did without my
Wow.
WPO chapter sort of being there through the
Yeah.
journey with me.
That's incredible. So it's not only the building, but it's the other side of
Yeah.
that show. I won't say shrinking, it's the exiting, I suppose. But that's really terrific to hear. Helping women with exits is a really interesting way the community has come together. Tell us a story about companies helping each other with growth while they're still in their growth phases.
Sure. So I can think of one business owner that comes to mind, who was very focused in the government sector,
Mm,
and all of her business was working in the government space. And another member in the chapter said, maybe you should think about expanding into the private sector.
mm,
And she felt like, I know what I know what I do really well, and she wasn't sure, but she took her advice and she started trying to branch out into the private sector. And then there were some shifts within some of the sectors she worked within the government, and it was huge for her because
wow.
she had that branch out. She was able to then pivot and focus solely on the private sector, and
Mm,
I think she tripled her revenue in just
amazing.
1 year by making that change.
And probably defended the
Yeah,
business and
for
really
sure.
protected.
Yeah, and survived, and or at least didn't have a big downturn.
Wow. And how do you make sure that the community is inclusive? So we obviously talked about different sectors coming together, different levels and tiers for the members. What about the men? How do you invite men in to help the women further, which is
Yeah.
what we'd love for them
Mhm.
to do?
First of all, we need men. So the WPO is an organization for women, but it's not about keeping men out. And now that you've been to our event, you see that,
Yes,
there's
plenty of
not
them.
tons of men, but there are men in the room.
Yes.
And it's really important. We also, with the WPO, we're not a certification organization.
Hmm.
So it's for women business owners, women entrepreneurs, but we're not looking for women that you have to own 51% or anything
Hmm.
like that. So a
Hmm.
lot of our WPO members have male partners, they have
Yes.
male investors. And so it's not that their organization has to be
All women.
wholly owned or,
Right.
yeah, have all women. We want the organization, we want the company to grow and
Yeah.
thrive, regardless of what that structure looks like. The thing about WPO is that it's got to be a safe space. And
Mm,
so when you talk about inclusivity, that's something that's extremely important to me. And we work really hard with our chapter chairs on making sure that at the meeting, no matter who you are, that you feel like you belong and that
mm,
it feels like these are your peers
yeah.
and you can talk about anything that's going on and you feel comfortable doing that because
It's
that's the most
valuable.
important thing is being able to be vulnerable so that you can get the kind of input and feedback from others that will really help you
Mm.
scale and take your business to the next level.
It seems like such a valuable thing for people who don't know, are they entrepreneurs? Can they be entrepreneurs? Could they have their own business? Do I have the confidence to do that myself? So I can see being in a chapter with other people who might have felt the same way. That's so encouraging that they could
Mhm.
be told, of course you can do this and here's how, right? And I'll be with you. Do you see other themes? You talked about exits, which is fascinating. Any other themes that seem to come up with women at the chapter level that they really want help with, that you're uniquely positioned to help them with?
People. I
Mm.
mean, human resources issues.
Does that
are-
ever go away in
yeah,
terms of that
exactly,
topic?
exactly. I mean, I don't know that there's any group or any meeting where
Talented
where
people.
talent doesn't come up
Mhm.
in some way, shape, or form. So that's always an issue. Access to capital financing, I
Yeah.
think, can be an issue. Cash flow can be an issue. So some of those aspects, just working with each other and learning from each other. But yeah, people.
Let's say it always comes down to that. So, okay, are we in an era right now of we can't find talent, we can't retain talent, we don't need talent as much because of AI? Where are we right now?
I
Third
don't see the
universe.
third quite yet. I
Okay.
feel like
Okay.
people still need talent, but
Yeah.
who knows in a couple of years where
Yeah.
we're going to be with that.
Yeah.
Some of that I think could be a little industry specific too, in what space you're in and
Right.
what the issues are. But finding the right people, making sure that you've got the right people in the right seat, and those issues I think are universal, and I don't know that
They're
they're
never
ever going to
going
go
away.
away. Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Same with the big companies.
yeah.
Um, so your chapter chairs are really important to this structure.
Mhm.
Who are they, generally speaking, and how do you train them? And I guess my third question would be, do they almost feel like therapists sometimes in a big group like that, or
Uh, they're more facilitators than therapists, I would hope. But I don't know. You can ask.
yeah,
And it probably depends on what's
that's
going
right.
on. They are many of them are business consultants, former business owners. Some are current
Mm,
business owners. So they have to have that business expertise and experience. They have to really understand. They don't necessarily need to be an entrepreneur who would qualify for WPO. They just
okay.
need to understand the issues and challenges, and
To be
what it
creative.
is to be an entrepreneur, and,
Yeah.
and what the business owners might be going through. I am seeing more as time goes on, women who sell their companies or exit, and becoming a chapter chair for WPO becomes a great next step. It's a way to
Mhm.
really give back with all of your own experience and all of your learning, and
Okay.
stay engaged and be part of the entrepreneurial community
Yeah.
without necessarily jumping back in and starting another company.
And do you give them training on top of it
Yes.
once they get in?
Definitely, yeah.
Mm,
We've got our own model that we use to run the monthly meetings, our peer review model, and our chapter chairs are trained in that when they come on board, and then we have annual training, and beyond that, we have other tools we train them on,
mhm.
and just different techniques and tools that they can bring to their meeting, content they can bring in, etc., so that the each monthly meeting feels really meaty and really valuable to the membership.
That's super. So there were so many different women in terms of age as well, women who've been running their businesses for decades, and some newer CEOs, which is fascinating to see. I love seeing the newer ones come in. Do you think the newer generations of leaders are they doing things differently these days? Could you observe anything that um, inspires you maybe about their leadership?
Yeah, sure. A couple things that I think that I see with the newer leaders or the younger generation is I feel less of a competitive spirit
Hmm.
between the younger generation. I
That's so
think
interesting.
they're a little bit more open in terms of talking about what they're really going through and
Yeah.
not worried as much about competition. I'm a big believer in all ships rise with a rising tide, and
Mm,
I feel with the younger generation there's a little bit more of that perspective.
that's great.
I also see younger entrepreneurs coming in with the exit in mind.
Mm,
So the
earlier.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So as I said, I've been doing this almost 25 years, and in the early days it was, for the most part, it was women who'd been in corporate America. They'd had an idea, they'd seen an opportunity, and they went for it, and it was their legacy, and they were gonna,
Mm,
run this business until they,
yeah, until
until
they
yeah,
can anymore.
pretty much, yeah. And now I see the younger generation
Mm,
is already kind of got a little bit more of a plan,
yeah.
and isn't looking at it always in the, "I wanna run this business forever," but more, "I wanna get this business, I've got goals, I wanna get it to a certain place," and then, thinking about that exit a lot earlier, which
Then
which
really
I think
dream
is a
big.
really good thing,
Oh, yeah.
particularly for, individual wealth and
Yeah.
for the business structure.
Agree. I mean, I think we need more people, more women to be doing that. We see so many women starting businesses. The goal is obviously to get them and grow them to sustainability and of great sizes and then be able to exit successfully. What happens when folks, I guess, stumble business wise? Do you see them come in looking for a different kind of support, like really having needs that, WP can sometimes help and sometimes, unfortunately, just businesses dissolve? I mean, that must be a painful experience
Yeah,
for members.
it it is. I mean, most businesses don't make it, right? Most small businesses don't make it. I would say that the WPO groups, I think, are really helpful during those periods of time, and I've seen so many women on the brink of closure
Mm.
that have actually stayed alive and pulled through. But I also think it's quite beautiful when someone's business does need to shut the doors and watch the other women business owners say, "It's not your fault, it happens."
Yeah.
Things changed. Sometimes the economy changes, sometimes the market changes, and
Sure.
it's really nobody's fault. It's just what happens, and
Mm.
getting that kind of encouragement and, pat on the back that, you did everything you could
And
and
pick
not
yourself up
yeah,
and
not
put
every
back out
business
there.
lasts forever,
Yeah.
and to appreciate the success that you did have and many years that you did have that went really well.
That's a good lesson. I appreciate that. So let's talk about your leadership. What kind of leader do you think you are? How would you describe yourself?
I try to lead from a place of purpose. So for me, I want to lead the organization from a place of we've got a goal, we've got a mission. We're a
Mm.
mission-driven organization. Obviously, we're a not-for-profit. So, I want everyone who's part of the organization to be inspired by what we're doing and moving toward that same goal and moving toward the purpose of helping support entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
helping support that ecosystem. I'm not very good at hiding things, so I'm probably more on the vulnerable scale.
Mm.
I'm happy to ask for help. I'm happy to say when I'm not good at something or I try to surround myself with people that are a lot better than me in pretty much
Mm.
every area
Yeah.
because I know that there's a lot of areas that there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than I am.
Oh, it takes a strong leader to say that, acknowledge that, and then do it,
Well,
right? And have the people around you. And when you think about your legacy, and hopefully that's not going to come for a while, but what do you want to do in terms of leading the organization? How do you want to leave it better? And what does success ultimately look like for you at WPO?
for me, success is much more about impact than numbers, if that
Mm.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
I want to grow the organization.
In terms of number of members.
In terms of number of members, we're at about 2,000 members today, and
Mm.
I have a goal of getting the organization to about 5,000 members, but I
Fantastic.
want to make sure we're still doing what we're doing.
Yeah. True
So
to the
for
core.
me, it's making sure that we're having that impact, and I would rather grow the organization intentionally and not super rapidly just to have numbers and just to
Yeah.
say we have this many members, but to make sure that we're impacting it. I always sort of feel like that. What is that saying? It's not about what you do; it's about how you make someone feel. And
Yes.
I WPO to me sometimes can be a bit of a feeling, and
Mm.
so I want to make sure that we retain that feeling. As I said earlier, that women leave their meetings and feel inspired, excited, ready to take on what's next, ready to go to work the next morning, and so that kind of impact is really important to me, is that
Yeah.
we're continuing to impact the individual.
Yeah, I love that. And listen, whoever's listening out there to this, we need 3,000 more of you to make Camille's goal come true here. So let's go, ladies. Tell us, as you think about building that next generation of entrepreneurs, what advice would you have for women or men out there
Mhm.
who want to take the leap, not sure if they should? What are your best entrepreneurship tips for them to really encourage that next generation?
First of all, I'm a big believer in finding people who have what you want
Mm.
and trying to connect with them, build relationships with
As what,
them.
co-founders or?
Or just if you see a business owner that's been successful, someone that inspires you, try to build a relationship. People
Yes.
are much more open to building relationships and having conversations, I think, than people realize.
Yeah.
Get part of a community, meet other entrepreneurs, connect
Mm.
with other individuals who are in a space that you want to be in or who run companies so that you really understand what goes into it
Yeah.
because entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It is.
True.
I believe it's a calling.
Hmm.
And you really need to understand what you're getting into, I think, when you take that leap.
Hmm.
But it's really exciting, and I think if you are called to entrepreneurship, you should do it. There should be nothing that holds you back.
Well, when you see the best ones, you realize nothing has held them back. They can't do anything else, right? That
Yeah.
is their mission. They
Yeah.
are fired up by that. And I think folks who are able to build something, stumble, get back
Mhm.
up, keep going, it's remarkable. I mean, I
Yeah.
have all the respect in the world for that and would love to see more people do
Yeah.
that. Uh,
I think what you just said too, Sam, is entrepreneurship is never sort of this
mhm,
linear line up,
mhm,
and I think once you understand that, it makes the journey a lot easier. That I know women with billion-dollar companies who've
mhm.
had, real hiccups along the way, and they
Yeah.
got back up and figured things out and made the changes they need to make and move on to the next level. And
It's a good
so
reminder.
just knowing it's a very up and down journey.
Yeah, I think we see so much today about entrepreneurship that seems so glamorous.
Mhm.
It's very sexy, it's what you need to do. I mean, certainly since I got out of school, it's been just much more popular. But you have to realize it is hard and it takes everything out of you. And you're probably working a lot harder than if you did in other jobs and you have no one else to blame. And
Yeah.
I'm talking myself out of it as we speak. But I think it's wonderful. It's obviously created so many jobs in the country and economy. And, for the right people, I agree with you. But you have to be in it and
Yeah.
commit to it. But maybe we'll see more people too in like later stages of your careers. As you said, you're
Yeah.
seeing more women come out of maybe corporate
Yeah.
careers doing this. I think that's
Yeah.
fabulous.
And women tend to start businesses later. Uh,
Say more about that.
if you look at the statistics, women tend to start businesses, which some organizations that have age cutoffs for
Mm.
entrepreneurs have adjusted those for women because of that.
Oh, wow.
So women sometimes will have their kids. They might work in corporate America or somewhere else, have a different kind of career, and then make a shift a little bit later in life. Sometimes entrepreneurship women will start a business when they have children because it gives them
Hmm.
that flexibility,
Hmm.
but they're not as interested in growing it or scaling it until they
Hmm.
get a little bit older and their kids are a little bit older and they have more feel like they have more time.
Yeah, no, and that's where I think we need to support women in what I like to call the second half of the
Mhm.
race, or um, the split when you run a negative split,
Yeah.
and you're faster at the second half. Like that's what I love more women to do is
Mhm.
once they have those obligations out of the way, like keep going. So, what can our listeners do if they want to help the small business ecosystem where they are and women that they know? Well, how can they just do everyday things that help these women?
Buy from women-owned businesses,
Bye, 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 bye. Yep.
fund women-owned businesses,
Yes.
give attention to women-owned businesses if you're in the media, get women business owners out there.
Love that.
So that we
Shopping is your duty.
yeah, shopping is your duty, and particularly shopping from women-owned
Yeah,
companies for
yeah.
sure.
I think we forget that. I think we forget we can vote with our feet. We can
Mhm.
really make a difference at the local level. The businesses in your community need you all the time. I say this knowing there's a lot of e-commerce out there that makes it very convenient to buy from the comfort of your home, but really getting out
Mhm.
there and supporting the businesses where you are is vital.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I agree. Keep going. Well, what else would you leave us with in terms of your fantastic career in this organization and where you want to take it?
Where do I wanna take
What's on tap for this year?
Well, one of the things that we're working on right now is our more of our global growth strategy. So, a lot of our global growth has been very organic to date, and so we're working on right now having a little bit more strategic approach
Mm.
to growing outside of the North America while still continuing to grow in North America as well. I'm going to be on July 1 going to Dubai to launch a chapter there, and we've got a
Fascinating.
number of other chapters as well. And the global growth is exciting because I think it supports the entrepreneurs here as well as you continue to create that global community, so there's more opportunities for everyone to work together.
And to think of you in that market, really helping women entrepreneurs
Mhm.
there is
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Maybe not the place you think of first and foremost, but maybe we should.
yeah, yeah.
So I love that. Well, Camille, it's so nice to see you. Congratulations again. Great conference, unbelievable run, and we look forward to seeing so much more.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Camille Burns. It was fascinating to hear how WPO members helped each other during the very worst of times, after 9/11 and more recently during the pandemic. Through her organization's chapter focus model, members come together to support one another and build community. We hope this episode helps you reflect on the power of community in your own life. If you're enjoying our podcast, please like, subscribe, and follow on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.